Hello, and welcome to today's presentation about the top scams targeting older Coloradans. What I'm going to be discussing today are the top calls that we have received to the ElderWatch helpline. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with ElderWatch, ElderWatch is a partnership between AARP and the Colorado Attorney General's Office, and it's been in place for about 20 years. It has a volunteer staffed call center that takes inquiries about different types of frauds and scams, as well as other referrals to senior resources in Colorado. Additionally, we also do education and outreach across the state of Colorado. Typically, we would be doing this education and outreach in person at senior centers and other community centers across the state, but we are doing this all virtually right now. And today's presentation will be recorded. So if you have a friend or family member who you think would benefit from the information, there will be a YouTube link with this presentation on it, as well as other presentations that we give out. Today's presentation is one of 10 different presentations that we are doing throughout the months of February and March to help older adults learn about the different types of frauds and scams that are happening in Colorado. And in addition to the work that we do with ElderWatch in our office, we are also doing national work for AARP on fraud and taking calls from across the country, much like the ElderWatch helpline through the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline as well. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. Today is not going to be a long presentation, but hopefully very informative about the most common types of scams that we receive. And today, there's a list of the top 10 that are on the screen right now, but what I'm really going to do is dive deep into the top 5 and then go over the remaining 5 after those, as well as a couple other scams that people should be watching out for. Again, this is all based upon data to the ElderWatch helpline in 2020. And so you can see 1, imposter government scams, number 2, imposter business scams, number 3, phishing, number 4, sweepstakes prize and lottery, and number 5, a tie between housing and non-stranger exploitation. So today I am not going to specifically talk about housing, and I'll tell you why, because the majority of the housing complaints that were received in 2020 were really a result of concerns about eviction. And so we did obviously refer these people to the correct places, but it is not necessarily part of the frauds and scams that we deal with regularly as part of the helpline. And so I don't think it does much value to go too in detail on that, but I will talk about the other ones and hopefully get information for you on those. But I will say that looking at this list in comparison to last year's list, it is different. And a lot of that is different, I believe, as a result of the pandemic and different types of scams emerging as a result of the pandemic. But I will say imposter government scams were number 1 in 2019 and again in 2020. And so that is something that definitely has not changed. So by far, the number 1 government imposter scam that we heard about in 2020 was the Social Security imposter scam. And so many of you have probably heard of this type of scam or received it or had a friend or family member who received it. But essentially what happens is you get a call and they say they're with Social Security or there's a problem with your Social Security and they want to help you, but they're going to need you to pay or give personal information to help you in this situation. A lot of the times the report is that there's a car or something of that that was found and it has, your information and Social Security number in it, possibly affiliated with drugs or other types of illegal activities, and that you're going to be in trouble if you don't act now. And so Social Security one, again, is the number 1 most common one. IRS is another scam that doesn't seem to go away, though it's less frequent than it used to be. So the IRS scams, again, would be someone who is reporting a scam or saying that there's a problem with your taxes and that you need to pay up right away. And if you don't, you're going to be in big trouble and they're going to come after you. So that's probably the second most common government imposter scam. And it does typically pop back up again every year around tax season. And so I think it's really critically important to know that these scams, they aren't just targeting one set of people, they're targeting everyone. And so when scammers are making these calls, they're not doing it one by one. They're calling out to thousands of people at a time and talking to the people who pick up. So they're using computers to do that type of dial out, and they're getting people of all ages. So, I can get this call in my 30s. My parents can get this call in their 70s. We are getting plenty of people who are like 18 or 19 or 20, and they have no idea about any of this type of scam. And so they fall into the trap that the scammer sets for them to give their social security number, or the last 4 digits of their social security number, or pay the person who's on the phone. So it's really critically important that whoever's listening to this today reminds themselves to share the information that this is a scam and Social Security is not going to call you. So if you do get this call, please hang up. If you have any doubt whether it was a legitimate call from the government, which again, the government on the most rare occasions will call you, but 99.999% of the time, this is not going to be the government calling you. You would have received some type of information first through the mail if they are going to contact. So it's critically important that you just hang up on these calls, don't engage with them. The more you engage with them, the more likely it is that they call you back and keep harassing you and trying to get you to bite and give them money or personal information. So be really, really cautious about that. And just make sure that all people know. A lot of the people that were reporting the scam to the Fraud Watch Network helpline were younger people. So people, in college who really don't know the inner workings of Social Security. And so, this population really needs to know about this scam because they might not be hearing about it other places. And so, tell kids and grandkids that this is a scam and Social Security doesn't contact you, the IRS doesn't contact you, Medicare is not going to call you. Again, these entities don't have the bandwidth to be making calls to everyone. And particularly, they're not going to be asking for payment, or they're not going to be asking for your personal information. And some of the real red flags for people, they might kind of get on the phone with one of these people and get hooked. But then they're asked to pay via gift card or wire transfer or peer-to-peer payment app. And we all know that the government doesn't work that way. They work through the mail. And so if they're going to send you something, they're going to send you something in the mail. So critically important to remember that. If you get one of these scams, the IRS scam, you can report it at tigta.gov. And then, other, places you can report. You can obviously report to us. You can report and to ic3.gov as well, which is the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. But it's most important that just people know the government's not going to call you and hang up on any of those attempts. Next most common scam that we dealt with in 2020 was imposter business scams. And so imposter business scams were not in the top 10 most common scams in 2019. And I'll say that in 2020, they really bubbled up because of one in particular, and that was the Amazon scams. And so because of the pandemic, so many people have been using Amazon as a lifeline to get goods and services. And so scammers follow the news and they know people are using Amazon in record numbers. And so what they started doing was posing as Amazon and trying to get people's personal information, whether that be their payment information or login information for Amazon accounts. Sometimes it was also bank account information as well. So, other businesses that were really critical during this time, including other stores that do online shipping, were other types of businesses that scammers might pose as well. Particularly we would see some around carriers, someone posing as being UPS or FedEx or the Postal Service, that type of a thing. So it's really important that you double check this information if you're receiving a contact from any type of business that you're not sure about. So, avoid this unsolicited contact, understand what a legitimate correspondence looks like, If you have any doubt whether it's actually Amazon contacting you, look into your Amazon account, at your actual Amazon account. And if you don't have an Amazon account, they're not contacting you. We would have some people who reported the scam, and they said, well, I don't even do business with Amazon, so I don't think it could be me. And I said, well, it's definitely not you if you've never done business with Amazon before. So it's really, really critical to know that, and just know that scammers are going to continue to use Amazon as a resource. So again, you can report these scams to any of the places to us, and we'd be happy to hear about it, just so we can spread the word, because scammers are constantly using different tactics and to change up their script and pose as different types of entities, as well as use different tactics that and see what works, so they can find victims in a different way. So be really careful about that, and just know that scammers are out there doing these types of very tricky scams. Next most common scam that we deal with, very similar to the imposter business and the imposter government scams that we see, are also phishing scams. And so again, a phishing scam often happens via email or phone or text, and it's essentially someone contacting you who says they're representing a government agency or reputable business, and they're trying to trick you into giving personal information. Again, they often claim to be Social Security, Medicare, a bank, PayPal, eBay, all different types of entities. Banks are one of the ones that I've seen the best phishing attempts. And so you get an email from a bank, it says click this button and you can log in here, and we'll direct you to a site. They direct you to a site that looks very much like Bank of America or Wells Fargo or Chase and other big banks. And it's actually not. And what they're trying to do is gain your login information so they can then go on the real site, log into the actual bank account, and then drain your funds. So really got to watch out for that. It happens a lot, and there's some really good attempts out there. Other types of phishing attempts that we've been hearing about, Netflix, because lots of people are home and using Netflix. Additionally, I would say, again, we would hear about the carriers, FedEx, UPS, the Postal Service. If you're getting odd notifications or texts from them and you've never received a text from them before, think of it as a scam. They might use names that are very similar, parcel service or something like that. So be very cautious about that as well in terms of phishing emails, because they're out there, they're getting better than ever. One other one that I would say that some of the most tricky ones that I've seen is also representing Apple, and has to do with your Apple account. And so the emails look really good. They've actually found victims that I know personally. So be really careful about emails. Definitely look at the email, look at the sender. If there are the other catches in some of the emails you might see are misspellings, hover over the links before clicking on them to see where they go. But the bottom line on these phishing emails and text messages, if you're not sure who the sender is and you received it, don't click on any links and don't download any documents, because it could get you into big trouble. And we don't want that. And these types of things can really be a world of hurt, especially in terms of different online accounts that you actually have. Sweepstakes, prize, and lottery scams are one of the most common scams that just don't go away. And when I talk about sweepstakes, prize, and lottery scams, they typically end up being one of the top 3 scams that we hear about. This year, it fell to number 4. And so sweepstakes, prize, and lottery scams, essentially, they're very, very easy to identify, because what's happening is you're receiving an unsolicited contact from someone who says that you want a sweepstakes, prize, or lottery, and you have to pay money to actually receive that money. So anytime you have to pay money to receive money, it's always a scam. And so that's a good opportunity to hang up. I've heard of scammers who will nickel and dime you, and I've heard of scammers who will just ask outright for thousands of dollars to receive that money. They often pose as someone with Publishers Clearinghouse. They'll pose as someone with an entity like Mega Millions International, which doesn't even exist. And so be really, really cautious of these, but they are the one I think is one of the easiest scams to debunk, because if you ever find yourself paying for money to receive money, it's a scam, and you should hang up. These scammers really prey on the hopes and dreams of people who might be down on their luck. I would love to win $2.5 million in a new Mercedes like they often promise, but I just know it's not a reality. So, and I would love for all the people who call us to get that money too, but the reality is it's not real, and they're just trying to find souls who are willing to take that risk and pay money to receive it. So throw any offers that might come in the mail like this, hang up on people, don't engage with them. They'll constantly call you back if you engage with them at all. So it is, they are a real pain in the butt. If you have never seen the movie Nebraska, watch it. It's a very sad tale about an older gentleman who follows this money that he believes exists, and then realizes it does not. And you can see the toll it takes on his entire family. So highly recommend that. Additionally, if someone tells you that you won the foreign lottery, Spanish lottery is a really common one that we hear about. If you won Spanish lottery, just know that it's illegal for you to participate in any type of foreign lottery. So avoid that at all costs. Mail fraud can be reported to the United States Postal Inspection Service, and other frauds obviously can be reported to Attorney General's offices, FBI, different agencies. But I have heard about a lot of these scams where they really do get a big chunk of money from people, and sometimes they'll just keep paying. So, be cautious of these and let people know that you should never have to pay money to receive money. Number 5, sadly, showed up on in the top 5 list this year, and I think also partially due to the pandemic, people dealing with financial woes, but essentially non-stranger exploitation is when a family, friend, caregiver, or neighbor or other known person is taking money from an older adult. And so, this falls in the broader category of elder abuse. It's very rare on our helpline that we hear about other forms of elder abuse, like physical elder abuse or mental, that type of thing. What we most commonly hear about 90% of the time is the financial exploitation. So again, this is most commonly perpetrated by family. It can obviously be hard to recognize and difficult to report because of all the interrelationships involved with the exploitation that's going on and the family that's dealing with it. So, but it's something that needs to be done, and older adults and their trusted friends and family who are not exploiting them need to report this. And when we get a call like this, we are referring them directly to Adult Protective Services, and they work in conjunction with local police to investigate the matter. So, to help avoid this type of thing, have a financial plan in place and trusted individuals to help monitor those finances if necessary. And it's, this again, sad to see it make the top 5 of this list because it hasn't been there in recent history, but I also think that it's probably a sign of the times, just because there are lots of people hard on their luck. There are people who are isolated and might be susceptible to this type of non-stranger exploitation. Just real quick, I want to cover the other 5 of the top 10. Again, I'm not discussing housing because it really is about people's concerns about eviction, and there have been different regulations in place since the pandemic about evictions that generally took care of those problems. So the home repair and improvement, they really fall under 2 categories. And the home repair and improvement is either a straight up scam, fly-by-night operation, where they say they're going to fix your roof. You give them a couple $1,000s in advance, and they never show up. And so there's that one type. And then the other type is a issue with a contractor directly. You have a contractor, they're hired, and something didn't go right, and you're not happy about it. So a lot of those times, those claims end up somewhere in small claims court, but they're very common. And so my recommendation is to do a lot of research before engaging with any type of contractor for any home improvement or repair project at your house. The next most common one, tech support and computer virus scams. So when we did a survey of Coloradans 50 plus, we found out that somewhere between 60 and 70% of Coloradans over 50 had received this type of a scam attempt. And so it happens either when someone gives you a phone call or a pop-up comes up on your computer telling you that there's a problem with your computer and you need to let them fix it. They often will ask for access to your computer and also ask for payment. So just be really cautious of these. Know that Microsoft does not call you. Other people they're posing as might say Windows, Apple support, Amazon support, any type of these big computer companies are not going to be calling you. So if you get one of these attempts, or if a pop-up comes up on your screen, delete it right away, or shut down your computer, hang up the phone, do whatever you can to disengage with these scammers. They will not go away. This is one of the most tricky scams that we hear about, and they really do target older adults who might not be as tech savvy. Number 8, fraudulent sales. And so this is probably not a shocker. A lot of this is based upon online sales and people trying to get products that they want and ordering it online, and people set up fake websites. People have these free trial offers. Just a word to the wise, avoid free trial offers that ask for a small shipping fee, because oftentimes there's fine print that says you're going to owe them money. They're going to start taking monthly payments from you from that same charge card that you used to just pay that nominal shipping fee. So be really cautious about that. Do your research before purchasing anything online. That includes things on Craigslist and Nextdoor and any of those marketplace sites as well. Do research about the vendor and use your credit card as an added layer of protection. If you don't receive the product, you can dispute the charge with your credit card as well. Number 9 really can be a part of almost any scam, but identity theft is no stranger to this list. People trying to take personal and financial information and then use it fraudulently. Different types of identity theft. Really, every scam that we see on this list can have an element of identity theft to it. But a lot of the times what we're having people do to be proactive with regards to identity theft is check your annual credit report regularly, put a fraud alert or credit freeze on your accounts as well. And you can go to identitytheft.gov to get instructions about how to do that, and also to report identity theft. But it's a great website that has tons of information about being proactive, about identity theft and the things you should do. But we did a survey of Coloradans, and we found out that they are not checking their annual credit reports, somewhere in the range of 25%. So maybe a quarter of Coloradans are checking their annual credit report. If you go to annualcreditreport.com, you can check your credit report for free. And so please do that and take the opportunity to do that, because not enough people are doing it. I personally, the first time, this was years ago, but the first time I checked it, there was an inquiry on there that was not correct. And so I was able to go back and fix that, because I actually did check my annual credit report. So please do that. Again, the website is annualcreditreport.com. The final one on this list is insurance and Medicare scams. And the majority of these scams are based around unsolicited phone calls offering for medical devices or testing. So there would be a knee brace, back brace, neck brace, also DNA swab tests that can, that are offered through Medicare and can be billed to Medicare. So those should only be prescribed through your doctor. Any of those devices or tests should only be prescribed through your doctor. They should not be from some random on the phone. In non-pandemic times, some of these scams are perpetrated at senior fairs and other places like that, but we didn't see as much of that in 2020. A lot of it has been over the phone, occasionally door to door as well. But again, anything that requires you to give your Medicare card should be with someone who you trust and a trusted medical entity who you're dealing with. Other notable scams to watch out for: romance scams, really have an uptick in the pandemic. If you're meeting people online, don't send them money. Unemployment fraud is huge right now, just because scammers have taken advantage of the many people who are collecting unemployment. So don't be surprised if someone filed for unemployment in your name, and when they do, be sure to report it to the Department of Labor. There's lots of scams around timeshares. So if you've ever owned a timeshare, don't be shocked if you get an unsolicited call from a scammer. Never talk to anyone who contacts you about a resale opportunity that you don't know about. Really, just again, hang up on those unsolicited texts. Say yes scams. If someone calls you and you accidentally say yes to a question like, are you the head of the household, or can you hear me? And then that person hangs up. Don't worry about it. It's not a scam. Just check all your accounts like you normally do. But the reality is we've never seen this scam really come to fruition, though there are a lot of people who are very concerned about it when they do receive that call. Charitable giving, please do your research before giving to any charity in Colorado. Check thecharity.com. That website that's on the screen right now is the partnership between the Attorney General's Office, the Colorado Nonprofit Association, and the Secretary of State's Office, where you can check charities to see if they are registered to solicit donations in the state of Colorado. So go to that website, check thecharity.com. It's a great place to go. Auto sales and repairs, again, do your research before engaging with any type of auto retailer or repair shop. We still did see quite a bit of those in 2020. And we also continue to see grandparent emergency scams. So someone who's claiming that their grandchild or granddaughter and they need you to send money to get them out of some type of emergency. And we saw a lot of those in 2020, really tied to COVID. So be cautious of those and verify that information with your actual family members. Just in summary, ways to avoid scams, protect that personal and financial information. I said that about 20 different times today, so hopefully you can remember that one. Manage those phone calls, hang up on callers. 70% of scams that are reported are still being perpetrated over the phone as the initial contact, so hang up on those calls. Do your research, like I said many times, about any business that you deal with. You're going to save some pain and heartache if you do that research first. Avoid contact with unknown entities. It's okay to be skeptical or rude. Remember, that person is trying to get your money or get your personal information to make you have a really bad day. So it's okay to hang up on them, or it's okay to say no, because I think there's a lot of nice people out there who are really scared to even be rude or be skeptical of someone, but it's okay. Don't rush to act. Think. Scammers don't want you to think, and they don't want you to talk to anyone else. They'll usually put a timeline on a certain type of scam. They don't want you to think, and they don't want you to ask a friend. So do those things, and you're going to make a scammer's day a bad day. Consider unusual payment options a red flag. If you're paying for something with a green dot card and you don't know what a green dot card is, it's time to hang up, right? If it sounds too good to be true, we all know that it is. Actively seek information about trending frauds and scams like you're doing today. Share your story. It might save someone else. And report. It also might save someone else. So we can get out and do presentations like this and let people know what's really trending out there in the world of frauds and scams. Just some quick contact information. You can contact AARP ElderWatch at 1-800-222-4444, option 2. It's part of the Colorado Attorney General's consumer complaint line, and we are happy to chat with you about any of these frauds and scams. And we also do some extra work around helping people with their finances and financial literacy, so we can help counsel you on checking that annual credit report, on dealing with the loss of a loved one, and also making sure you're getting all the benefits that you are able to. If you want to sign up for Fraud Watch Network alerts through AARP, go to aarp.org/fraud Watch Network. And if you want, please follow us on Facebook. It's AARP ElderWatch is the Facebook name if you search for us on Facebook. I don't believe I have any questions, but I want to thank you again for listening today, and please share this video as part of a YouTube clip, and please call ElderWatch if you have any further questions about frauds and scams. Again, that number is 1-800-222-4444, option 2. Have a great rest of the day.